Hey everyone, this is John, and welcome to the weekend free video. So GILD, a pretty awesome pin, and you can see there was actually a ton of volume today, yet it stayed within kind of the perfect pinning range. And a lot of times people ask like, okay, I've heard you say pin before. What do you mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is when you see an inordinately high amount of open interest, and here you can see the 120 strike, 44,000 calls there, 41,000 there. And the idea is that the stock will just kind of come back to that level. And you can see here that even though today it traded as high as 121, it pulled all the way back to there. And when you see something like this, it's not like some big conspiracy or anything like that. If you think of it as those were all naked calls and puts, the market kind of gravitates back to that because it's in the interest of the ones who sold calls to have those expire worthless, and it's the interest of those who sold puts too. So if it gets too far below 120, the ones who sold the puts will bid the stock up, and vice versa. So we sold the 120 calls and the 120 puts as a straddle, okay? And then we just let the calls expire worthless since we closed at 119.80. So it came a little bit down to the wire there. So that one's kind of fun. And then for Facebook, I tried to pin at $80, but then the stock got upgraded. So even though I made money on the put side, I lost money on the call side when it kind of popped up here. And if we look at the $80 strike, we can see that there's still a ton of volume there. Ultimately, our open interest ended up pinning at 82.50. So that's an example of GILD. The pin worked perfect. And Facebook, hopefully, I was hoping it was going to pin at 80 because of that higher open interest, but then the upgrade came, and so they had to pin it at the next logical strike higher, which was, in this case, 82.5. Okay? Real quick look at the markets. The two things I want to point out on the Qs. You can see continue to kind of churn sideways here. We did have a big up day on Thursday, and we just gave a little bit back today on low volume. So nothing super huge there. It must be noted, though, that the bonds today were up huge. Wouldn't call it a breakout or anything like that, but that was not expected today. So anytime I see something like that, it's an unusual move. We want to just kind of keep an eye on it for next time. And then right now, it's 3:13 p.m. Central, so the markets are still open. And if you see after hours, if you look at the S&P futures here, they're actually selling off in a pretty big way. You can see that there's been sell programs here. Once the market closed, you can see the volume spiked up, and we've been dropping now 7 points after the close. So a lot of interesting volume coming up here, wrapping up positions for quadruple witching. All right, so next question is where is the next AMBA? Okay, so AMBA had this huge run. It's taken a little bit of a pause here. I actually don't think the run's over yet. But what I'm going to be looking for are stocks that fit this criteria. An example of a stock that fits that criteria is INSY. Okay. And okay, so why does it fit that criteria? Well, we've added a few new tools to this scanner, and you guys should already have, most of you I think already have the scanner, but you'll see here that I added float, shares short, and then short percent as a float. And you can see if you sort this, what's the number 2 stock? AMBA, okay? What's the number 3 stock? Cyber. Then there's a couple more. And then what's the number 1 stock? INSY with a 64% short. But the key thing here is the float. A 23 million share float I'm much more interested in than 127 million share float. This is the kind of combination that can lead to explosions. Now, this is just one of the scans that you can look at on this, but I've tied a number of these in and updated them so we can all find kind of the next. Think of it as an AMBA, where you just get a situation where moves explode and go above and beyond any barriers that the market makers have put in for their own benefit. So this is one of the strategies I'm going to be talking about Saturday, which is, if you're seeing this on Friday, which is Saturday, June 20th, from 2 to 6 o'clock East Coast time. Now, if you're seeing this and it's like, wow, it's Sunday and I already missed it, that's okay. You can still take advantage of the pricing below and see the recording. This is some new awesome stuff that's designed that if you've got a smaller account, how you can do simple strategies that have the potential to exponentially grow your account. Okay, so the Saturday class is there. And then if you want to do the additional 3 days of live trading, which is going to be the 23rd, 25th, and 26th during market hours, you can go down this column. The short version is the Saturday class is $497. The 3-day class is $997, and it includes the Saturday class. My goal, and of course I can't guarantee it, but my goal with the 3-day class is that using one lots, that we can generate trades that pay for the class. Okay, so the setups, and you can go through down here and just talk. I mean, I've got the biggest question I get with these classes, that if you've taken similar classes from me, is this something that this is different, or is this a rehash of stuff we've learned, in the past? This is all new stuff. We're going to see some setups that you're familiar with, of course, like say the squeeze, because that's something that I like to combine with other things. But we've got new scanners, new stocks and ETFs that we'll be looking at. And honestly, the big difference is going to be new triggers. How do you, when you see a setup like this, when do you get into the trade? And more importantly, how do you identify the ones that have the potential to be 10 baggers? Okay, so super excited about all this stuff. I'm also going to go through and kind of lay out my trading strategy for the second half of the year. This is something that I've been working on and want to show you kind of a new focus so that you understand like what I'm doing if you see me doing this in the room or anything like that. Trying to think of anything else. I think that's it. This is going to be the class that kind of defines the rest of the year, and I'm looking very much forward to sharing this information with you. Have an awesome weekend, and hopefully see you at the class.